Good evening and welcome to the September 13th meeting of the Glendale Commission on the Status of Women. Ms. Baboumian, may we have the first item, roll call?
Certainly. Commissioner Donnellian?
Present.
Commissioner Garsavanian? Commissioner Peck?
Present.
Vice Chair Pillsbury?
Here.
Commissioner Tushchin?
Here.
Commissioner Walker? Chair Devine?
Here. Next item.
At 1A is the report regarding the posting of the agenda. The agenda for the September 13, 2010 meeting was posted on the bulletin board outside of City Hall on or before September 10, 2010. And at 2, we have introductions and presentations. First, we have the Glendale Police Department's Retired Senior Volunteer Patrol, and we have members of that organization here today, along with Sergeant Tom Lorenz of the Glendale Police Department. So welcome to RSVP and Sergeant Lorenz. Thank you for coming.
Sergeant Lorenz.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members, city staff. If I can, I'd like to have the retired senior volunteer members come up, and Alma Bullock, their supervisor. Come on up. Don't be shy. They're not shy in the field, I believe you me. They write plenty of parking tickets. Behind me here.
I think I received one of them.
I've gotten my share. Well, I want to thank you for having us here tonight. What I'd like to do is introduce some of the members of our volunteer corps in the Glendale Police Department. It's not widely known throughout the community that we have a fairly large volunteer program, and the members of our volunteer program have a varied background. We approximately have 40 active members, 5 of which are chaplains that represent various denominations within our community. In the last year alone, they donated over 7,200 hours of service. And when you try to calculate that out over, based on what the Bureau of Labor will say their hourly wage volunteerism is worth, it's about a little over $23 an hour. And that equated last year to well over $167,000 of volunteer services that were provided to the city of Glendale. They are divided throughout the main station of the police department. They work in the Americana, they work in the Galleria, and they also work up in the Montrose substation. In each of those locations we do have substations, and we have regular staff there that they do support. In addition to our retired senior volunteers that you see here, which we call RSVPs, in uniform, we also do have our VIP corps, which is our volunteers in pride, and they'll do other work, but not so much out in the field. They like to be in the office, answer the phones, and provide support staff. We often talk about diversity in the city of Glendale and the number of languages that are spoken. One of the things that Chief DePomp and his staff do is try to make sure that our volunteer staff supports them in any technical way possible. The different languages they speak, German, Spanish, Russian, Armenian, Farsi, Italian, Cantonese, Tagalog, Chinese, French, Greek, Persian, on and on and on. It's very diverse, and they love to support and help the officers and detectives out and dispatchers when needed. I don't know if you know this, but I think a lot of them have committed their entire careers in the past to other things. Some of them have been homemakers. Some of them have illustrious careers. But I just want to let you know some of them. In fact, one of them is a legacy runner for the LA Marathon. 22, I think, that one person has run and still does today, from what I understand, or at least participates. We have people that are bank manager operations. We have one retired Navy SEAL. We have a pharmacist of, I don't know how many decades, but many years in our program. We have executive secretaries and managers within various corporations, on up to security consultants for the renowned Pinkerton Company. And they all volunteer their hours for the city of Glendale. What I'd like to do is ask Alma to come up, who runs the program for us. She's a part-time employee for the city of Glendale. And let her tell you what some of the things they do in the city, and at the same time, if anybody out there would like to participate in the program, how how they can join and what kind of services they might want to bring to the city of Glendale, maybe not only to the police department, but to the city of Glendale. Alma Bullock.
Good evening. Thank you for having us today. Our volunteer program, I am incredibly privileged to run, and the police department supports us 110%, which is not exactly so in other cities, so we are very, very lucky. If you would like to participate in our program, you have to be, in order to be out in the field, you must be a retiree 55 or older. However, if you want to be inside and do light clerical work, you have to be 18 or over. So everybody's welcomed. Our requirements, because of the confidentiality environment that we do have, you have to go through an extensive background. But other than that, we welcome everybody. And as you could see with the hours that these folks put in, we make an incredible difference for the police department, especially during these budgetary cuts and everything else. It's just they're wonderful, wonderful people. They have services such as vacation home checks, radar enforcement, vehicle patrols. They enforce the handicap spaces. The quality of life, that's one of the things that unfortunately has been cut back. And they go out there and they look for graffiti, they look for abandoned items in the city, which the quality of life for the citizens, I mean, these are the eyes and ears out there. And they cost us nothing but reflecting in them giving. I mean, when I see somebody walking in my office with a master's degree saying, you know, I just want a beginning. What better than for us to be so blessed to be able to give them that beginning in our city? Many of them that come in when they're 18 years old eventually become police officers. So the foundation that we're setting is amazing, amazing. We are very, very lucky. And as Sergeant Lorenz said, I mean, some of the quality of people here have run big departments. I know that Jean here was head of Kaiser at one time. That is some pretty big shoes, and now she's out there patrolling our streets. So it is very, very significant. And I'm not going to take up too much of your time, but everybody's welcome to apply. If they would like to be part of our group, give me a call, and let me have some of these folks introduce themselves. Marion?
I'm Marion Manderson. Thank you. I am a long retired bookkeeper, originally a homemaker, and I was interested in volunteering, and I tried a couple of places, and I found the police department, and I feel as if I'm really performing a service and that it's appreciated.
How many years have you been volunteering, Mary?
Since 2003, 7 years.
7 years, good for you. And you're mostly in the field?
Actually, I work inside 4 hours a week. I work out on patrol 4 hours, same day. And then occasionally I do extra duty things. I've helped just this past week with the DUI checkpoint. And I do fingerprinting when I'm inside. I answer the phone, variety of things. And as I said, I just feel it's very rewarding, and I feel like I'm doing a service that's appreciated.
Are you there one day a week for how many hours, or do you go in a couple of days a week?
Actually, I work a few hours on Wednesday mornings at the Galleria, and that's inside. And on Thursday mornings, I go out on patrol at 8 o'clock. I come back at noon, and then I stay at the upstairs on the 4th floor at the police station, and I answer phones, do anything else that's needed, and I do fingerprinting for people who come in, not for the criminals. They don't let me do those. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jean Zimmerman, and I'm a retired RN. I served about 40-some years. I served 5 years in the United States Air Force Nurse Corps as a flight nurse, and the remaining time I worked at Kaiser as Assistant Director of Nurses. I usually ride along with my husband. He couldn't be here this evening. And the reason for doing this was that whenever we have needed the police department assistance, they've always been very responsive. So we decided, in order to give back and assist them, that we would volunteer. And we can do some of the things that leave them more time to do the more important things.
Excellent. Thank you. How many years have you been volunteering?
4 years, going on 5. I also volunteer. We also both volunteers at Kaiser Hospital.
Oh, do you? Good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, I'm Lucy Haley. We're husband and wife team with my husband Peter. We own a business in Glendale, and I speak 4 languages, 2 Chinese and 1 Tagalog, which is a Philippine language, aside from English. So on occasion, I had a chance to help somebody that went into the police department, didn't know where he was, and he was Chinese, so I was able to use my language to help him. We've had 15 years in the police department as volunteers.
Wonderful. Wow, good for you. And it's a husband and wife team, huh?
Yes.
Do you go out on patrol together, or do you have a car, or what? Do you work together?
Yes. We go out together as a team.
Right, as a and as a date, too, I know.
Yes.
Well, thank you.
My name's Peter Haley. My wife has told you a little bit of what we do. I'm ex-Navy. We own a business. I've been with the department for 17 years. In addition to the RSVP duties, I spent 7 years with the burglary auto arson detail. I've spent the last 10 years with the gang unit. That's about it.
Tell me this, would you recommend to our viewers to get out and volunteer with the police department? What would you say to them?
Yes, if you feel that you can contribute something, and most people can contribute something, then I would recommend heartily that they can come on in and give it a try.
Thank you.
I'm Bill Peplow. I'm the retired pharmacist. I've been a pharmacist for 50 years, the last 30 years in the city of Glendale. I was born in Glendale. When I retired, I feel that volunteering is extremely important. I have 2 other things that I volunteer for, and then when I joined the police department, I like it because working in a pharmacy, you're inside, you don't get out. Doing this, I'm out all the time, and I feel I'm contributing to the community. And it makes me feel real good when somebody asks for advice and we can give them advice. And so I thoroughly enjoy it. I still feel in part-time working, and I'm always unhappy when I have to work on the day I'm supposed to be at the police department. So I highly recommend it, and I thoroughly enjoy it.
Great. Thank you.
And we've been running some pictures on the slideshow on this screen, and I'm sorry to the viewers at home if we didn't get it on GTV6 soon enough, but the pictures that some of them are sideways.
Right. That's the first one they put up.
But anyways, number 2. But some of the viewers, if they want to kind of get a bird's eye view of what's going on, they're more than welcome to contact Alma Bullock, and she can email them information or provide them some additional information. The chief and the command staff are extremely proud and of the volunteer program, and I think that there's plenty of room to grow. I don't want to basically say that we're open to thousands, because if I can't place you, then I can't use you. But for the most part right now, we've been able to place just about everyone. And yes, we do pay for your uniforms. Yes, you do patrol in a city car. We provide you training on how to drive a car, not so much in an emergency situation, but we provide you some tactics. You will learn some skills that you probably wish that you had many, many years ago after graduating high schools, whether it be communication skills, driving skills, or even how to deal with the bad people on the street in a bad situation. The most tickets they write are the most expensive ones in the city of Glendale, and those are the parking tickets for the handicap zones. So if you see one of them, you just got you got to expend. I don't think you didn't get one of those tickets.
Not
Commissioner, I don't think you did.
No.
So, anyways, I thank you for your time. If there's any questions, or
Please, may I?
We have Commissioner Pillsbury first,
Yes,
and I'll take the question.
how big a time commitment do you require people to make? So if somebody says, I want to volunteer, is there a set number of hours per week?
4 hours. 4 hours is the customary. We usually like an agreement that you're going to commit at least 6 months with us because we do invest in a very costly background. However, 4 hours, and if you ever have an illness or a vacation, we're dealing with retirees. So, please join us. You're committed, but it's all about having fun.
We need a number to phone in case someone that's watching
Absolutely.
has a desire.
My number is 818-548-4825. And you could reach me there. I'm part-time hours, but, there's always a voicemail, and I always return calls.
Mr. Tostian?
Thank you. And you're Alma Bullock, B-U-L-L-O-C-K.
Correct.
Great. I think it was indicated that there are 40 active members. Is that correct?
Correct.
And it seems like these members are paired when they go out on the street?
Yes. For safety purposes, we always like to pair our volunteers up.
And I understand also that they go through a significant background check, correct?
Correct.
Is there any other qualifications like training?
Well, we put them through a short training academy of about 6 weeks, learning radio codes and officer safety issues. And we definitely have to take a look at driving skills.
Okay, so there's a 6-week training period before they actually start
Patrolling. Absolutely.
Okay, and you described some of the work that they did, which includes giving out tickets and looking out for graffiti. Anything else?
They do. We have a service. We're very lucky here in Glendale where we do vacation checks for residents that are going on vacation, where we check the perimeter of the home, and that's something that takes up a lot of our time, but it's such a worthy thing. That they take care of.
Absolutely great. So someone would call in and say, listen, I'm going on vacation, please check on my house.
Yes.
Great. That's good to know.
Absolutely.
Now, all of these are in the field volunteers, right? The ones that are here tonight. But you also have a great number that do not go in the field. They simply work at the department at different
Correct. Right now,
locations.
about half of our volunteers are RSVPs, and half of them are in the clerical side of the police department.
So what I was getting at is if we have viewers that would love to volunteer for the police department, they don't necessarily have to go out in the streets and give tickets or get involved in anything outdoors. In a car. They can actually, there are a lot of jobs that you have for them
We
inside.
have everything from data entry. We have some of the younger folks that could go through an intern program with us and help with a lot of computer-wise. But we have people that just want to answer phones or want to welcome people at the front desk. We could use everybody.
I know it's a great program. My husband was involved in the Sexual Assaults Bureau unit, and I think he was there for a couple of years. Yes, and he loved it. He loved the people that he worked with, the officers, and just everyone involved. So I know it's a wonderful program, and it's a great place to volunteer. So, and there are many ways in which you can volunteer. That sounds like fun, though, being out there in the field giving those parking tickets. What do you think, guys?
Well, come on over. No. We'd love to have everybody.
I know I'd
welcome.
give one, then I'd get one. I know what would happen. What goes around comes around. Thank you so much. That was most interesting, and I hope that we have educated the public and your volunteer services, and we can get you as many as you need.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Thank you all. Fabulous. Next item, Ms. Baboumian.
At 2B, we have the National Charity League, Inc.'s Glendale chapter here, and we have chapter president Shelley Weitzel and VP of fundraising Cynthia Bankston.
Thank you, Commissioners. We are honored to tell you about National Charity League Incorporated Glendale chapter and the services we provide to various organizations, including the 12 Oaks Retirement Lodge Assisted Living Facility in La Crescenta. My name is Shelley Weitzel, and I am the 2010-2011 president of the Glendale chapter. And with me is Cindy Bankston-Budson, our Ways and Means VP. NCL Glendale is the oldest of over 160 National Charity League chapters across the country. In 1925, a small group of women came together in Los Angeles to make layettes for babies and to distribute food to needy families. They call themselves the Charity League. Over time, a daughter of one of the founders reorganized the group to become a mother-daughter charity, and National Charity League was created in the 1940s. The mission of the National Charity League is to foster mother-daughter relationships in a philanthropic organization committed to community service, leadership development, and cultural experiences. National Charity League's core values are honoring the mother and daughter bond by together learning, growing, and modeling responsibility and graciousness, empowering women with the skills and confidence to lead, nurturing through mentorship, inspiring a legacy of social awareness and compassion, providing depth of support in local communities, and have integrity and excellence in everything that we do. Our Glendale chapter is made up of over 140 mothers and their daughters in grades 7 through 12. Together, we provide $30,000 of financial aid to the residents at 12 Oaks Retirement Lodge in La Crescenta and $7,000 of college scholarships to girls in the La Cañada, Glendale high schools, and in community college. In addition, last year we donated almost 11,000 hours of hands-on work to the 19 philanthropies that we support, and we spent 5,200 volunteer hours administering the programs and projects. The 12 Oaks Retirement Lodge in La Crescenta is a major philanthropy of ours, and Cindy will tell you more about that relationship.
Thank you. Our relationship with the 12 Oaks Lodge in La Crescenta runs very deep, as it does with the city of Glendale. Our chapter began in 1942, and it was created by 5 Glendale women who wanted to help the local community. At that time, they called themselves the Glendale Charity League. A prominent Glendale newspaper woman by the name of Catherine Sinks learned about the group and approached them and informed them that she felt there was a severe unmet need to serve elderly, disadvantaged women in the community. And starting in 1943, the Glendale Charity League focused on elderly women. They started doing holiday and birthday parties for the women. They gave a $2 a month stipend, then it made some difference, to financially distraught women. They started doing personal visits to the women in their homes, and they earned the name the Birthday Ladies throughout Glendale for their personal visits. In 1951, the Glendale chapter became the very first chartered chapter of the newly created National Charity League across the United States. So we are the oldest and the first chapter of anywhere in the country. At that time they joined National Charity League, ironically, the Glendale board passed a unanimous resolution that someday they would own and operate a retirement home. And this was in 1951. They set out a savings plan and toward that goal. It took them 25 years, but in 1976, NCL Glendale was given the 12 Oaks Retirement Home by the Sunshine Society to run it. 12 Oaks was originally a 13-room home of James and Effie Fitfield. He started the American Bar Journal newspaper. And they were moved by a friend who was elderly and became homeless. And they decided to turn their estate into a retirement community for the elderly who had nowhere to go in the 1930s. He died, and after his death, Mrs. Fitfield created a board of trustees to run the retirement home. And what was unusual then is that she was the head of the board, and about half of the members were women, which was rather unusual in the late 1940s. Over time, they gave the home to the Sunshine Society, which was a large national nonprofit to run. Then, in 1976, the Sunshine Society gave 12 Oaks to NCL Glendale. We actually ran the home, did everything, from 1976 till 2002. It was run on a completely volunteer basis. All the fundraising, all the staff hiring, everything was done by our board. Then in 2002, we gave it to the Southern California Presbyterian Homes because by that time, obviously running an elder care facility was a lot more complex than it had been in the past. And the Southern California Presbyterian Homes still run it, but it is our home and is our major beneficiary. 12 Oaks is located on Sycamore in La Crescenta. It has 50 residents who live there. Most of them are widows, but there are married couples and there are some widowers that live there. It's on 4.5 acres of land, and it's in a completely residential area. So it is a very lovely, small community that just fits in with the local neighborhood. In addition to the $30,000 that we raise and we give to residents who can't afford to pay, so that they can remain living there. We also have our TikTokers and our moms do hands-on work. So what we do at 12 Oaks is we do a lot of the gardening. We make and serve homemade lunches every other month. We have monthly hors d'oeuvre parties. We assist with weekly summer barbecues. We provide special parties for all major holidays and special sporting events like Wimbledon and the Super Bowl and USC Notre Dame games. We provide entertainment from our poor reluctant girls who have any talents like playing the piano or singing or dancing. We also provide monthly flower arrangements so that there are always flowers in the dining room area. And we also donate needed daily supplies so that some of the residents who don't have a lot of discretionary income can have them. And in the past, we've done holiday card donations, and we address the cards for the residents. We've done ice cream socials, bingo nights, movie nights. But our biggest contribution is the requirement that each of our 150 TikTokers visits a residence once every quarter, as long as they're in NCL, and they spend 30 or more minutes with them, just talking with them and getting to know them. We feel that an ongoing relationship between a teenager and an elderly person is of immense value to both of them. For the senior, it provides energy, stimulation, a sense of self-worth and importance. And for the teenager, it can help them realize that history is not just in their textbooks. Most of the girls find history, boring, and they can't relate to it. Well, here they get a chance to talk to people who went through the Depression, who made sacrifices or maybe lost people in World War I or the Korean War. They hear stories of true love and 45-year marriages and losses and deaths. And hopefully it tells the girls that the things they read about in textbooks are not just on paper, that they really happen, and they're talking to people who have lived through it. It also gives the girls a great example of how to age with dignity and spirit. We have some really, really wonderful, impressive, lively people at 12 Oaks. There is a Guatemalan proverb that I think speaks to what the girls learn, and it says, everyone is the age of their heart. And that's one of the things we want the girls to learn. A lot of them have not dealt with the elderly much before, and some of them do it with a lot of fear, trepidation, but they all learn so much, and we have just marvelous stories. There is one of, I hope the rest of the residents aren't watching. I like you all, but one of my favorite residents is a wonderful 94-year-old widower who worked at JPL for 43 years. Before that, he was a TA when he was at graduate school in Caltech, and he was a TA for Albert Einstein. He worked on the actual first experiments on lasers, and he shared with us that Albert Einstein never wore socks, ever. Not to class, not to study, not even to black tie affairs. He never wore socks. He has all these incredible stories that you would just never get if you weren't able to talk with him. And he's there at 12 Oaks just waiting for visitors. While many of the problems facing the elderly are very complex and very severe, a lot of their issues can be handled through minimal, low-cost, simple efforts by adults and children. And those are things like talking to them about the past and the present, spending one-on-one time with them, playing games, doing puzzles, watching movies, providing a home-cooked meal, whether they're still in their home or if they're in a facility, inviting them to spend time in your home, especially at the holidays. Even in the nicest facility, it gets pretty lonely around the holidays if you no longer have any family. Helping those that are able to remain in their home to do the gardening, to run errands, to keep them comfortable inside their own home, and maybe driving them around town to church, to meetings, so that they can stay active and maintain a life once they've lost the ability to drive or transport themselves. Basically, treating seniors is really like treating friends, and hopefully it's the way we all want to be treated as we age. There is another quote from an author by the name of Margaret Wilcor, and I think this sort of sums up my feelings toward working with the elderly. Never lose sight of the fact that old age needs so little, but it needs so little so much. And we try to do our small part to help the elderly at 12 Oaks and teach our girls to do the same thing.
We would love the Commission to help us continue helping 12 Oaks by letting people know about our once-a-year celebration rummage sale on Saturday, October 2nd at the Pacific Community Center at 501 South Pacific Avenue in Glendale. There's a graphic flyer up on the visual aid up there where you can see 140 NCL families donate newly and gently used items to our celebration. The event helps the community by giving them a chance to purchase great quality items at rummage sale prices and helps NCL raise money to assist the 12 Oaks residents. All money raised goes to 12 Oaks and our scholarships. We've given each of you a folder with flyers on our celebration in English, Armenian, and Spanish for your information. We also gave you a brochure on our services to 12 Oaks Retirement Lodge. Please share them with your friends or clients who may benefit from our celebration. We would greatly appreciate it. On an ongoing basis, the community could help us tremendously with donations of occasional copying and printing services and financial underwriting for decorations and food for our holiday party for Tri-Valley Special Olympic athletes that we are planning in December. Thank you very much for allowing us to appear before you, and we wish you a lovely week.
Thank you so much. Are there questions from the Commission? Commissioner Pillsbury?
I have one question about your elderly facility. Do you still have people who are destitute? You said it was started for homeless people. Do you have clientele? Or I work part-time at Path Achieve, and I'm wanting to know if you're a resource.
You know, the financial status of all of the residents is confidential for the people who now run the home, so I don't know. I do know that our contribution is allocated based on financial need. But Dick Rockwood is the on-site administrator at 12 Oaks, and I'm sure he'd be happy to answer your questions.
Thank you. Do you have a wait list? Are you full to capacity right now?
No, they are almost at capacity, but there are several openings still.
Okay. Mr. Tostian?
And Path Achieve, by the way, is going to have an information table at our celebration.
Excellent.
We're working with Elizabeth.
Good. And if someone wants to join the Charity League, how do they go about doing that?
Our group is by invitation. So what they would do, we have a website. It's being updated, but you can still find it. And on the website, you can learn about us. And then if you're interested, there is an address, and you can send us an email, and then we would get in touch with you and talk with you more and see who you know in the organization and go from there.
And the website is www.charityleague?
No, it's nclglendale.org. nclglendale.org.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Thank you
very much, and good luck at the rummage sale. Maybe I'll come down there and see what I can find. Treasures. Thank you. Okay. Next item, Ms. Baboumian.
At 3, we have oral comment. And
I have one card.
You have one card. Okay. Discussion is limited to items not a part of this agenda. Time is limited to an amount to be set by the chair. The Commission may question or respond to the speaker, but there will be no debate or discussion. Staff may refer the matter to the proper department for investigation and report.
Okay, I have a friend from the Armenian Relief Society, Nairi Dadarian, to tell us about an upcoming event. Welcome. It's been a while since we've had someone here from the Armenian Relief Society. It's nice to see you.
good to be here. Last time I was here was in March. Well, I'm appearing in front of the Commission today because, as I had come to explain in March about the Armenian Relief Society and the activities that it does, being that it's our 100th centennial anniversary this year and we're continuing with the celebrations through December, I wanted to come and personally invite the Commission to the symposium, which is going to be held this Saturday at University of Southern California with the Institute of Armenian Studies at Town and Gown. So I have a package here with an invitation letter and all the information for you, including a flyer. The symposium is basically going to celebrate the Armenian Relief Society and women's activities throughout the past 100 years. Some of the topics include the history of the Armenian Relief Society and what it's done, what it can do in the future, cultural identity, education and how it's preserved education, philanthropy and how nonprofits can better approach people for philanthropic need, empowerment of women, which is the most important issue as far as I'm concerned, because taking into consideration that the Armenian Relief Society was formed in the United States prior to suffrage of women even existing here, and it empowers women, it truly empowers women, and it's a general discussion on empowerment of women internationally throughout the past 100 years. So basically
Is the symposium open to the public?
It's open to the public.
And how would one go about getting information?
There's two ways. By calling the ARS headquarters in Glendale at 818-500-1343, via the website www.arswestusa.org, and we're even on Facebook and Twitter under ARSWUSA.
Okay. Thank you, Nairi. Any questions, comments? Fabulous. Thank you for the invitation, for the information, and we'll try to get there. Thank you very much. Next item, please.
At 4, consent items. A is approval of the minutes of the regular commission meeting held on August 9, 2010.
Okay, do we have any corrections or additions to the minutes? Shall we have a motion to accept the minutes as presented? So we can't really do that because we don't have a quorum.
Right.
So
we can hold the, we will hold this item off until the next meeting, and then we can bring this back again to the commission.
Okay, very good. Now we're going to, because we have Sergeant Lorenz here, we're going to skip to, on our business agenda, to item 5.2a for consideration. So, Ms. Babumian, would you give us a report? Because Sergeant Lorenz might be able to contribute to our discussion, and if we have questions. Thank you.
Certainly. At 5A2, we have consideration and discussion regarding the establishment of a grant program to the Glendale Police Department, and at A is a motion providing direction regarding the establishment of a grant program for the Police Department. A brief report.
Please.
Chair Devine, members of the Commission. Domestic violence, as we've all discussed, is one of the most common forms of gender-based violence and is often characterized by long-term patterns of abusive behavior and control. A lot of DV crimes, DV is domestic violence, are underreported for a number of reasons. According to the Department of Justice, the numbers that we have in the city of Glendale for 2007, that's the latest available figures, is that there's a total of 367 DV-related calls for assistance to law enforcement. Now, in conversations with the police department, we know that a lot of these calls, when they come in, they are categorized differently. So there are probably a lot more calls that come in that are truly are DV-related calls that don't get flagged as such. When police do respond to DV-related calls, the victim may go to an emergency DV shelter outside the city if he or she feels that they are not safe at home. In conversations with members of the police department's Violent Crimes Bureau, there have been instances in which emergency DV shelters are full, or victims who do not speak English must go to an emergency DV shelter that does not staff someone who speaks their native language, leaving them incapable to communicate with anyone at that shelter. Based on information provided by the Glendale Police Department, these types of situations occur just a few times a year. It's a small handful, approximately 5, but it's hard to tell with each year. Acknowledging the dangers and risks of having these victims remain in their homes or go to the home of a family member where they can be located by their abusive partner, Chair Devine suggested that a grant in the amount of $2,500 be established to fund hotel vouchers for these victims and call it Commission Project Rescue, or CPR, which would be administered by the police department over a one-year period. Over the past few months, Chair Devine and staff have met with several members of the Glendale Police Department's Violent Crimes Bureau, including Sergeant Feely, Sergeant Buzikian, Detectives Pirovich and Gaxiola, and former member of that department, which is Lieutenant Lardy, who's now in communications. And in these meetings, we discussed what the needs of the police department are and how the commission can provide assistance to DV victims. Police can offer hotel vouchers for a limited amount of time to a victim on a case-by-case basis should they find themselves in a situation where going to an emergency DV shelter is not an option. Victims would be escorted to a hotel outside of Glendale, and charges for the hotel and food consumed at the hotel would be paid by police through funds provided by this grant. Victims staying at the hotel would be limited in their duration of stay to a maximum of 2 nights, and would be checked up on by police to ensure that they are seeking some sort of DV services and making arrangements for a safe, secure location in which they can go to once they leave the hotel. At the end of the one-year period, police will provide the Commission with a detailed report of how the funds were administered and make any recommendations as to how this grant can be carried out in future years. Staff respectfully recommends that the Commission provide direction regarding the establishment of this grant program in the amount of $2,500 for the purpose of providing victims of DV an alternate place to stay. We have Sergeant Lorenz is here, and I'm here for any questions.
This grant came about during a domestic violence task force meeting that I attended, and Commissioner Pillsbury was there with me, and Officer Feely was there, and he mentioned that at times they have nowhere to take women, and they have no economic funding for the hotels. And because I received a phone call on a weekend, where do I take this woman? What do I do with her? Because the information was not available at our city facilities. I felt that there was a real need for a grant like this to help the police department. And so in March, I spoke with Chief DePompa, and he thought it was a great idea. And so Ms. Baboumian and I then carried it to the next level and consulted with other officers, and this is the plan that we've come up with, and if you have any questions or comments, commissioners, please let us know. Commissioner Pillsbury?
I think it's a great idea. I have one question about the length of stay. In what way would the police who have put someone, in a specific hotel, motel, help connect them with services so after 2 days they would be able to go to a safe location?
Usually, and I know there's been a lot of discussion with Sergeant Feely, Sergeant Buzikian, Lieutenant Kim Lardy, some of the former members of that unit. I actually was also a former sergeant of that unit many years ago. And I can tell you, it is that short term right after the police intervene or call to the scene. $2,500 goes a long ways for a lot of people in the short term when we're trying to bridge the gap when we have these the void in services. For example, I'll give you if I were to take a team out tonight after being called out by the officers that we have a violent situation of domestic violence to the extent that it could almost be classified as an attempt murder that night. Detectives would be called out. We have the victim in the hospital, not going to stay in the hospital, but likely to be released. The spouse is on the run and not in custody. We're going to have to find them and take them into custody. But so many people want to go home or they have nowhere else to go. They may be able to get a hold of family members. Many may not even be local. They may be outside the city, outside the state. But there is that gap. And there may be the need for some confidentiality for a 24 or 48-hour period of time. So that money will go a long way. I can tell you that a lot of the officers and a lot of the detectives, myself included, when you're dealing with a family that has children, it makes it even more difficult. It puts a lot of pressure on us to try to get our job done, but at the same time, when you look at our work, 70% of it is more social than criminal. The officers they believe you me, they'll break out their wallet, they'll put them up in a hotel room, they'll buy them dinner, they'll take them out to lunch, they'll take care of them, go buy them clothing. I've seen that more often than not. But this right here will help the officers, especially on the weekends and the late evening hours. That's where you're going to bridge that gap. That is so important and necessary. I can tell you, though, that if we didn't have it, I don't think the officers would turn around and walk away. They're going to try to find a way to overcome and try to take care of the family when in need. But I think what you're doing is taking the right step forward to help. And with that being said, I think that maybe when people can start looking at this a little bit more and start working together with some of the other organizations in the city, nonprofit organizations, that there might be a way to actually increase this fund and use this fund in such a manner that it really does save a family, it really does help a family, and it will make a difference that the family can maybe take a new direction in life so that they're safe, not only for themselves, but to end the cycle of violence. And we talk about the cycle of violence all the time. It's children. We got to protect the children.
I agree. I think the establishment of a grant program is very important here, and I think it's an excellent idea, Chair Devine. I think it's an excellent idea, and we should wholeheartedly support it.
I want to mention that we also have built in, number one, a maximum of two nights, and an advocate, a police advocate, to be on scene the very next morning at the hotel or wherever, or motel, wherever it may be, to help the victim immediately. So it's not like we're going to put her there and leave her there. There's going to be an advocate immediately on site to help out, to get her into a safe place.
Right. We have to act immediately. The more that you delay to provide a service to someone who's been victimized, the more they're going to feel the need to go back the way it was, especially for those that are with someone that's been the breadwinner of the family, and there is no other choice but to support the family and live a life like that. We have to break that. And that's exactly what this will do, is when you do that. You know, we have our RSVPs. One of the, you asked, Commissioner, what is some of the other things they do? Believe it or not, some of them who don't want to go out in the field, they sit in the phones and they call people that are home alone. A lot of them, I shouldn't say a lot of them, some of them have been victims of domestic violence. And we're not, when you look at the demographics, not just the 18, 19, 20-year-olds, not the 30, 40, 50-year-olds, but even the elderly. And so they sit and they call and they talk to people and they provide support and they call us. And so we'll be able to provide, I think, that bridge that gap, as I'm calling it, because I was out there and what do I do now? I got a family of 5 I got to put up in a hotel, and I got to feed the entire family tonight, not only dinner but breakfast and lunch tomorrow. And I go, there's no money.
You know, it's interesting you mentioned that it's the weekend that is the gap, and that's exactly when I got the phone call, where do I take her, was on a weekend, when there was, no other place, nobody else, I guess, to call. Anyway, thank you, Sergeant Lorenz, for adding.
More than
Do we have
welcome.
any other comments or questions from the Commission?
I'd like to move that we...
Commissioner Ex Officio
Sorry,
Emaili.
just a quick question. It covered, it says that 367, you got 367 domestic violence calls. So how much would the 2,500 be covering?
Well, many of those cases we act immediately. When there's a case of violence and we show up, whether it be the aggressor is the male or the female, one of them will likely be taken into custody, and that's the way the law works. And the reason for that is to separate them. We don't want to keep them together. We want a period of time they're separated to cool their heads. So we're able to interject ourselves and to hopefully calm the situation for a period of time, just because of the custody situation. But in addition to that, we are able to seek out a TRO, a temporary restraining order, from a local judge. We pick up the phone 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and we will serve the abusing party with a temporary restraining order. So they have to stay away if they get released on bond or bail, etc. So with that being said, we are able to handle most of the situations. It's those unique situations where we don't get there in time. Suspect gets away, and it was so violent, and this is not the first time, meaning it was like the 6th or 7th call to this house this year alone, and now it is just, and it's a family. It's a Friday at 1 o'clock in the morning or Saturday at 1 o'clock in the morning. We have to do something, and that's where it's going to come in and help. And luckily we don't have many of those, but one is too many.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
I move that we allocate $2,500 for the CPR fund.
Second?
Seconded.
Can we have a vote, please?
Certainly. Commissioner Garsavanian, Vice Chair Pillsbury,
Yes.
Commissioner Toshchin,
Yes.
Commissioner Walker, Chair Devine.
Yes.
Very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioners. I'm sure Chief DePompa will be very happy to hear this.
Thank you. We like to make him happy. All of you happy. Okay, next item, please.
Going back to 5A1 is the Commission on the Status of Women's Master Calendar of Events for 2010, and at A is a motion to provide direction regarding the Commission on the Status of Women's Master Calendar. Chair Devine, members of the Commission, if I may, I just want to point out that in the month of October, on Thursday, October 7th, is our ballot measure forum, and I just wanted to provide a quick update to the Commission. This is the event that the Commission chose to support at the last regular meeting, and it's the public forum that will go over all the statewide ballot measures during the November election. It will be held in this room, Council Chambers, at 7:30 p.m. on Thursday, October 7th. Members of the League will be present to help educate the community and answer any questions that they might have. And because it will be held here in this room, there will be no cost for staff services and only the $50 allocated for refreshments. Just wanted to provide you that quick update.
Terrific. Great. So I'm going to be away, but hopefully we'll get Commissioner Toshchin or maybe Commissioner Pillsbury at the time to come and represent the Commission at that very important forum. Okay. Are there any corrections or additions to the calendar? None being said, do I have a motion to accept the calendar as presented?
I'll move.
Second?
I second.
And I think we have unanimous consent on the calendar.
Wonderful.
Next item.
At 3 is consideration and discussion regarding Domestic Violence Awareness Month, also known as DVAM activities. And at A is a motion providing direction regarding the DVAM activities. Would you like a brief report?
Please, please. This is very exciting.
For the upcoming October 2010 Domestic Violence Awareness Month, also known as DVAM activities, we've been working on developing a calendar of events to raise awareness of the Commission's different activities and the issue of domestic violence and how we can prevent violence. These events will place special emphasis on the power to heal, to create, celebrate, and empower other women and the entire community. The first event that is scheduled is the Candlelight Vigil, and this is the annual vigil that the Commission partners with the Glendale YWCA to bring in the month of October. It is scheduled to take place on Thursday, October 21st from 6 to 8 p.m. in the ballroom of the YWCA facility, which is located at 735 East Lexington Drive in Glendale. This vigil is held in memory of victims of domestic violence, both the survivors and those who have lost their lives. The vigil also provides an opportunity for awareness and education and outreach to the community. Speakers at the vigil will include victims of domestic violence and members of the Glendale YWCA, the Commission, and the Glendale Police Department. Another event being organized is a teen dating safety forum. And all too often we talk about domestic violence and we think of adults and married couples, and we forget that a lot of times domestic violence starts in teen relationships. And so at one of the domestic violence task force meetings that the Commission participates in regularly, staff from the Glendale Unified School District expressed interest in partnering with the Commission to have a forum on teen dating safety to bring this topic more into light. The school district would like to hold this forum during their Red Ribbon Week and sort of fold it into their curriculum to talk about drugs and alcohol and what effects those have on domestic violence. As we all know, Red Ribbon Week is the nation's oldest and largest drug prevention program in the nation, and it does reach millions of Americans during the last week of October, and therefore this event will be in the last week of October. The forum will be held on Thursday, October 28th from 7 to 9 p.m. at the Glendale High School Auditorium, which is located on 1440 East Broadway in Glendale. The forum is open to members of the public. It's especially targeted to high school students and their parents, and this would be high school students from all over the city of Glendale. The purpose of the event is to open dialogue about the subject of abuse in teen relationships between parents and their teens, and to also open up this dialogue amongst teens themselves in school. Barry Levy is a lecturer at the Department of Women's Studies in the University of California, Los Angeles. She's written a book on the topic of teen dating safety, and based on many recommendations received about Ms. Levy and her book, she's been invited to be the main speaker at our forum. Representatives from various organizations such as the Glendale Police Department, the Los Angeles County Bar Association's Domestic Violence Project, Break the Cycle, and the YWCA of Glendale will also be there to answer any questions that may arise. Although the rental fees for use of the Glendale High School Auditorium have been waived, there are costs associated with staffing, which are approximately $360, and the school district has asked the Commission to cover this cost. In looking at various other locations, there are no-cost alternatives to the Commission, but the school district did feel very strongly that they did want to keep this at a high school location, and particularly one that's central to most of South Glendale. And in addition to the Teen Dating Safety Forum, staff is also looking into making and distributing bookmarks about teen domestic violence and teen dating safety. And this would be to complement the Teen Dating Violence Forum. And it's been suggested to the Commission to produce bookmarks with pertinent information about teen dating safety and resources that can be distributed to students among the 4 high schools in the Glendale Unified School District. To produce 5,000 color double-sided bookmarks would cost $390 plus tax, and to produce 10,000 colored double-sided bookmarks would cost $500 plus tax. And that's our DVAM for this year, and staff respectfully recommends that the Commission provide direction regarding these proposed activities.
Okay. It's very exciting, and that's actually in 3 parts, and because of our action with the last agenda item, we now have the presentation of the grant to be added to this program, because what we'll do upon my return on October the 12th, we have planned, tentatively, that we will go to City Council and present this grant for domestic violence, our CPR grant, at City Council to the police chief or the officers. So I hope you'll put that on your calendar, October 12th at City Council so I think the more of us that are there, the better. But let's take these one at a time, and we'll do the candlelight vigil first. There was is there any fiscal impact in the candlelight vigil? There is not.
No,
right?
there is not.
Okay.
The Glendale YWCA use of the facility, there's no cost, and they cover the cost of refreshments.
And this year, it's actually going to be more a vigil than a forum. In the past, we've done Q&A, and this year there will be guest speakers, but they'll only be speaking briefly, correct? And then we'll go right into the vigil. So do we have a consensus or a motion here on the Commission to go ahead with the candlelight vigil to partner with the YW on this one?
Yes, I'll move for that. This is for both the...
That's just for the candlelight vigil.
Yes, I'll make that motion.
Okay, second?
Second.
And I agree, so we have consensus. Now, the second part of it, this one has a little bit more fiscal impact, but this is the Teen Dating Safety Forum, and this is exciting to me because it's the first step in adding actual curriculum to the Glendale School District. during their Red Ribbon Month. We are working with Sally Miles at the district, and she's taking this through the curriculum committee to actually have this in the classroom every year, not just 1 year, during Red Ribbon Week. And it will be similar to our Yellow Ribbon Week, where we do the Hands and Words Are Not for Hurting. And I had suggested that perhaps we eliminate the Hands and Words program and just do this curriculum, and I got a resounding no, because the Hands and Words program is so well liked and supported by the teachers in the district that they want to keep it there. They love it, especially in the elementary. But for the middle school and the high schools, they will probably pay less attention to Hands and Words, but use this in their curriculum. So that's what's really exciting. So I'd like for Commissioner Pillsbury to tell us a little bit more about the book and any other information you want to share.
Here is the book. You can get close on the cover. It is called In Love and in Danger, A Teen's Guide to Breaking Free of Abusive Relationships by Barry Levy, MSW. It's an excellent book. I read it cover to cover after we had our meeting discussing it, and I would highly recommend it to those families out there with teenagers who are dating. I think it's a very exciting program for us to be bringing an author, and the kids will be excited by meeting an author and hearing firsthand, and I think the parents will learn a lot about what's going on in teen relationships. It's very interesting, and the book is very easy to read, and it reads quickly, so take a look at it.
Thank you. Mr. Tostian, any comments?
No.
Okay, so what we're looking at then is the cost for the venue, which amounts to $360?
Yes.
Okay, so do I have a motion to go ahead with the forum and to allocate the $360 for the use of Glendale High School Auditorium in a partnership with Glendale Unified School District to present this teen dating forum?
I move that we spend the $360 to partner with GUSD and present the teen dating forum.
In a second?
And I'll second that.
And I think we have consensus, 3 of us.
And thank you very much. And the last portion would be
the bookmarks.
The discussion regarding the bookmarks.
Do you want to describe those? These are going to be used to give at the forum and also at the schools during Red Ribbon Week. We can use them this year, and of course we can use them in the future. Anytime we do anything with teenagers and parents. So the question is, do we want to produce 5,000? Do you have a...
I don't have a sample, Chair Devine. They're smaller standard bookmarks that would be used in, regular, fiction, nonfiction books.
You want to tell them some of the information that's going to be?
Yes, that would be a little bit more helpful rather than the kind of books they go into. My apologies. Some of the things we were thinking about putting onto the bookmarks, Break the Cycle has a great database of different resources. One thing that I like is the 10 warning signs of abuse. So it's a top 10 of these are red flags for abuse, things that can lead into an abusive relationship. So I think those would be great to put on the bookmarks.
Are they basically for the teenagers or for everyone?
You know what? They're for everyone. Would you like me to read them to you?
A few. Why don't you give us a sample?
Some constant put-downs, extreme jealousy or insecurity, explosive temper, isolating you from family and friends, making false accusations, things of that sort. There's about 10. And this is just red flags that if these are things that you notice, it might be signs that it's leading into an abusive relationship. There's a couple of statistics that can go on there. Also make sure to put information about different resources, about Break the Cycle. They have a teen safe space website where teens can go online. They can ask questions. It's all information that is geared towards teens and appealing to teens, and so that teens can understand and connect with the information that's being presented to them.
Fabulous. It'll be really very nice, and I know that our graphics at the city will be working on those with us in designing and et cetera. So what we need to decide tonight, Commissioner Pillsbury, sorry.
On the content of the bookmarks, I think if we have one side, maybe the 10 red flags, and the other side, resources, actual phone numbers, actual websites, concrete information, I think we can skip statistics because statistics go out of date as soon as basically.
I think the cleaner and the simpler we make it, just with the most important information for symptoms, signs, signals, et cetera, I think that, and information on what to do if you see that happening. I think that's what should be on them. That will not change.
Exactly.
So
what we have to decide is, do we want to produce 5,000 of these for $390 or 10,000 for $500? 10,000 is a lot of bookmarks, but it's for years, so it depends on how you.
How many high school students in the city of Glendale?
We have the 4 high schools, and they have, I'm going to look to the girls to help me here.
I guess at 2,000 each?
A few thousand at each school.
Well, it's going to be used for several years, I'm assuming, so...
I say 10,000.
Shall we go ahead
That's fine with me.
$500?
It is a better value.
It is a better value. More bang for our buck, and that's what we need.
Well, and if we have 4 high schools and 2,000 at a high school, we're going to use them up this year.
Well, we hope so.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be great? If we had all the teenagers come to this forum, that would be wonderful.
Are they,
we can also distribute these at the high schools, so we could leave them in the libraries.
Yes.
In addition to having it at the forum, make them readily available to the students, something that they'll pick up.
Right. Okay.
So I'll make the motion to allocate $500 plus tax for 10,000 colored double-sided bookmarks.
Second.
And there is consensus. Very good. It's going to be very exciting. So the first will be the second week in October. We will present the grant. The third week we will have the vigil, and the last week of the month we will have the forum. So we have a really nice program, I think a great program for Domestic Violence Awareness Month this year. Very good, Ms. Babumian. Nice work. And
Thank you. Chair, just as a point of clarification, we will do our best to get the presentation on the October 12th agenda for City Council. Might be a slight chance just for whatever reason, but we will do our best to get it on the October 12th and recognize that that's a priority.
Okay.
Thank you.
Very good. Very good. Okay, next item, please.
Just want to make sure. At 6 is commission and staff comments.
Okay, we'll start with staff, please. Babumian, sure.
Sure. Just wanted to provide a quick update on Girls on the Run from Elizabeth Sadlin, who was here last month. Registration is currently open for the fall season. It begins September 20th, which is next Monday, at R.D. White, Edison, Verdugo Woodlands, and Lincoln Elementary Schools. There are still some coaching spots open for women and men who can volunteer 90 minutes a week for 12 weeks. A parent and community leader from Monte Vista is coaching at another site this season to get to know their program, so they hope that Glendale will be able to launch a Monte Vista site in the near future. And for more information for Girls on the Run or to volunteer, people can go to www.gotrlosangeles.org or call 626-590-4770. And a brief reminder that Senator Liu's Women's Health Conference is coming up, and workshops are still available, but they are filling up quickly. So please log on to www.clwomenhealth.org to sign up for these workshops. I believe that is the only way to sign up for the workshops. So please log on. And if anyone has trouble logging on, please call me, 818-548-4844. The workshops are free. They're available on a first-come, first-served basis. They will be going on in the morning from approximately 9 a.m. to about noon, 1 o'clock. There's 21 different workshops available, and they seem fabulous.
Okay. Ex officio Denellian.
Okay, well, first of all, I'm really excited about the October domestic violence program. I think it'll be a really good way to educate the high school children and just allow them to make the safer choices. So, GCC started 2 weeks ago, and I'm happy because this year we're having Club Rush this week, so many of the clubs are having kind of a theme of community service. And so I'm part of ASA and the Army Students Association program, and then the Scholars program. And just based on those two commissions only, we're just working to serve the community. So I'm excited about the stuff we're going to do this year. And then also the Army National Committee Glendale chapter is having their banquet on Thursday. So what they do is they serve the community and they do voter registration. So it's going to be a good banquet to attend. And yeah, I'm just excited for the domestic violence one.
Mr. Pillsbury?
Since our last meeting, we have celebrated the 90th anniversary of the 19th Amendment to the Constitution, which granted women the right to vote. It was signed into law on August 26, 1920. So for 90 years, we've been able to vote. But here in California, women won full voting rights 9 years earlier in 1911. So that's something we can all celebrate. I just thought I'd share that with everyone, and I too am looking forward to the domestic violence events, and I hope that everybody comes to at least one of them.
Mr. Tostian?
Yes, thank you. I have a couple of announcements. The first announcement is Women Extraordinaire. This apparently is something to do with celebrating the 20th anniversary, saluting women achievers. This is going to be on Wednesday, September 22nd, 2010 at the Hilton, Los Angeles, North Glendale. 5:30 to 7 p.m. is the reception and networking. 7 to 9 p.m. is the dinner and Women Achievers Awards program. My understanding is that our own Chair Devine will be getting an award. Is that correct, Ms. Babunian?
Yes, she will be awarded at this luncheon and recognized for her work for the community.
And this is a dinner?
Dinner.
Yes, it's a dinner.
Now, it says over here that if anyone's interested in going, telephone number is 1-818-956-5466. And there's also an email, krik@businesslife.com. Okay. The second announcement, the Armenian American Chamber of Commerce, Greater Los Angeles Chapter, invites you to the 4th Annual Armenian American Women in Business Excellence Luncheon. Now, this is on Saturday, October 16, 2010, Hilton Glendale, 100 West Glen Oaks Boulevard in Glendale. And this is a luncheon, 12 p.m. luncheon and awards ceremony. Let me see if I have a contact for that. Fortunately, I don't see a contact for that at this time.
Probably they can call AS.
Yeah, you can call Armenian American Chamber of Commerce at 818-247-0196.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ex officio Peck?
First of all, I want to say that I think the teen dating forum is really awesome. In all my 4 years in high school, I've never had any information on domestic violence available. I've never seen it presented in high school. So I think this whole new thing, it's really awesome. It's going to be a really good program. And secondly, this is my last meeting, and I regret that I wasn't able to contribute as much as I could with the short term, but I was really inspired with all the volunteers that I got to meet here that were so dedicated to serving women's issues, and to be on the commission that's so dedicated to serving women's issues. So I'm going to go off to college and hopefully make much more contributions to programs like this.
Thank you. Commissioner Peck, it's been very nice to have you on the commission, and good luck at UCLA. Very good, very good. I have to put my glasses on, that lighting. I have a Girls on the Run update as well. Last month, Elizabeth Sadlin was here, and I did ask her a couple of questions about domestic violence and how Girls on the Run dealt with that. And she emailed me to say that the younger curriculum, Girls on the Run, emphasizes healthy relationship throughout. The one reference to domestic violence is when the girls are identifying issues that they care passionately about when they are developing a community service project. And for example, there is one that is called Violence Against Women. In the older Girls on Track curriculum, violence is directly addressed in the lesson on crushes, love, and relationships. The girls play a tag game that helps them see how physical and emotional abuse reduces their health and happiness, and how support from each other and healthy habits increase their confidence and thus their ability to build healthy relationships. She also mentioned that the new team will be at Monte Vista. So I thank Elizabeth for following up on those questions that I asked, and I know it's a great program. So if you can get involved in any of the schools, if you want to coach, or if you have a young girl in the family that likes to run and play, this is a fabulous program for them. And if you need information, you can call Elizabeth at 818-662-7043. She's always willing to help. Glendale Healthy Kids is hosting another Guess Who's Coming to Dinner weekend, and if you'd like to have dinner at the mayor's house, Mayor Ara Najarian is hosting a down in New Orleans way sizzling Cajun food, and there are still seats available. If you're interested, call 818-548-7931. I know that the mayor would love to have a full house, so maybe everybody can show up. And that's on September 25th. And on the 26th, the Outback Steakhouse will be hosting, and so will the Thai restaurant Settee, which is very popular. So again, if you'd like to get tickets, just call Glendale Healthy Kids at 818-548-7931. Finally, I want to congratulate two groups that I've been involved with for many years. One is the Glendale Symphony, and I want to congratulate them on signing Maestro Loris, and I know I'm probably not going to say this correctly, but Czech Navorian. They had a reception at Lexus on Sunday, and it was amazing. He did a special piece that he wrote. He conducted the symphony in memory of those that we lost on September 11th, and it's going to be great for the Glendale Symphony. And then I also want to congratulate the Neighborhood Legal Services. We were all invited to go to their awards dinner, and at that reception they had concert pianist Vache Minkarian, and he was also absolutely extraordinary. So it was a beautiful Sunday for the symphony and for music, and we are so lucky in Glendale to have members of our community who are dedicated to the arts and that want to have the symphony back in our city, and I salute all of them that are involved in that organization. I also want to mention that I saw one of our ex officios, Susie Kavanian, and she's working now at Glendale Community College in their I think it's their, do you recall what department she's in? I think it's the welcoming introduction to the college, and she's perfect for that, and I'm so glad that she's successful. We are all wearing teal tonight because of Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month, and please, I beg everyone out there, next month is breast cancer awareness. This month is ovarian cancer, so please be sure that you take care of yourself. Women, we know that we always have other things to do, but this is very important. You're important to your family and to yourself, so be sure that you have your exams. And with that, Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Second, and meeting is adjourned at 7:55.